Hello everybody, Nan here. Today I'm going to tell you a little story and I've entitled it Finally a Winner. Jerry, my stepfather, was an avid reader of competition magazines, and our cupboards were full of tins that didn't have labels on because he used the labels to enter competitions. So when you open them, you never knew whether you were going to get soup or baked beans or fruit. Bit difficult really. Anyway, he never won anything for a long time, but one day there was a competition in the Daily Mirror, and it was based on the TV show Take Your Pick. This programme ran for 13 years and we used to watch it on our little black and white televisions. It involved guessing what was in a box. You had to answer the question right, and if you did, the box opened and you got the prize inside. And the prizes were fantastic. You could win a toaster, you could win a tea's made, you could win a kettle. Really good prizes. Yes, those were the days. My stepfather got into the final in this quiz in the Daily Mirror, and they sent his question to him by post, which was, how many muscles in the human body? Well, you might think this is strange because to get the question in the post, anybody could look that up. But then, what would he look it up on? We didn't have computers. A few families had encyclopedias to look things up, but not everybody could afford those. Fortunately, Jerry had a cousin who belonged to the Royal College of Surgeons. So he got in touch with him and asked him the question. And he said, well, there isn't an exact number, it's between 600 and 800. So Jerry plumped for 720 and he won. His prize was to count £1 notes for 5 minutes. If the total was correct, he would get to keep that as his prize. If it was incorrect, he had a second chance at 3 minutes. Well, they emptied a big box of used notes on the desk in front of him, which was a bit worrying because he expected nice neat piles of notes, and these were well used and a bit screwed up. So he decided to count very carefully and try and get the most in the longest time. So he counted carefully and he actually got to £500. Well, you're going to think, well, that wasn't a great deal of money, but today that would be worth nearly 9,000. He was featured as a winner in a copy of the paper, holding on to the notes like a fan up to his face. There was another winner the week after, and his prize was he could have the weight of any member of his family in half crowns. You better Google that, half crowns. And he chose his mother-in-law, who was a rather large lady, so he won quite a bit too. Jerry took Mum and I to a fur shop in the East End of London to choose a fur coat each as our share of his winnings. It was so exciting. Of course, we hadn't learnt that wearing a fur was non-PC then. And the different furs were all behind metal trellis shutters. We chose beaver lamb coats, which were very on trend at that time, making us feel very glamorous. So my first fur coat at the age of 17 was quite something to show off about. I have a jam jar full of uncirculated half pennies that Jerry saved, and a cutting is inside it from the Competitor's Journal, 1968, advising that in 10 years' time, these coins would be worth £120. 50 years later, at today's value, they're worth 120 pence. But I shall still save them as a keepsake of my father's big win. That's all for today. Following this video, there's a small clip of a lovely man called John, and he's going to tell you his moment in time. So bye-bye for now. Love, Nan. See you soon.
Hello, I'm John. I'm just 80 years of age, and I need to tell you a little thing that happened to me back in the 60s. During what we used to call a pea super fog, I was going home from my office in Mayfair, and you couldn't see a hand in front of your face. So I had to cling to the railings, making my way towards the tube station to go home. I stepped up, had to enter a chemist shop, but to find my way was blocked by a very tall person who was even taller because he was standing on the step. To my horror, it turned out to be none other than Boris Karloff. Do you remember him?